right, now the last little section I want to cover is about essential oils and travel and some supplements as well, because actually there are a few of these things that I just won't travel without. I'd be pretty devastated if I forgot to take, to be honest. And a couple that I think really did mitigate whatever gluten I was exposed to in Japan. So I've been using essential oils for about 7 years, I think now. I've traveled with lots of essential oils before. I've pared this down to pretty much my core essentials, things that I just don't travel without. So here are my non-negotiable oils, and I'm going to hold them up where I've got them. I think I've got most of them here. The first one is Digestion. Now, Digestion is a blend of oils that are good for supporting digestion. So things like ginger, cardamom, anise, peppermint, coriander, fennel. There's a blend of oils, but it doesn't really matter where in the world or at home I'm traveling. I travel with Digestion because you just tend to eat more and eat differently when you travel. And because I knew I was going to be exposed to gluten in Japan, I made sure I took Digestion in the form of a soft gel, which I'm showing is basically like a little tablet of the oil blend in a little, they call it a soft gel, but like a little capsule, I suppose. And with every meal, I just took one Digestion soft gel and one Terrazyme, which is a digestive enzyme, with all the meals. And I think that really mitigated a whole lot of potential fallout. I did still have 1 or 2 days where I ended up with diarrhea. I actually think it was tofu and soy that I'd had rather than gluten, but I don't know. I definitely had some changes to my digestive system, just adjusting to eating different foods. So Digestion definitely a essential for me. I also like to take frankincense, and I like to take them in these little 5 ml bottles. I'm going to just show up a 15 ml bottle in comparison. Little 5 ml bottles are just better for travel because they're smaller. And when we're traveling internationally, there are liquid restrictions as well. So the smaller the bottles, the better, I think. So frankincense, I just love it because it's a catch-all. If in doubt, use frankincense. It can be used for such a variety of things. It's supportive of our immune system and skin irritations and calming. So like I could put a drop on the roof of my mouth just to calm myself down. So it's just there as a backup, I suppose, the frankincense. On Guard, which is a protective blend, I usually take that in the form of the soft gels. So I'll hold up another one of those. They look like the Digestion ones, but different oils. This is really just to protect ourselves against different bugs and threats that we come in contact with while we're traveling. I've got to say, in Japan, like we traveled on lots of public transport. We must have been exposed to, I don't know, thousands and thousands and thousands of people and breathing and coughing and sneezing and, just exposure to a whole lot of stuff. So taking a bit of On Guard there is helpful. I definitely was taking that in the lead up to going away as well. I wanted to make sure we were well before we went away. We had to do PCR tests to make sure we didn't have COVID before we went to Japan. So, so we were taking a fair bit of preventative, proactive immune support before we left. What else do I take? I take Aroma Touch, which is a massage blend because I do get lots of aches and pains. And I put this on my legs with some moisturizer each night just to prevent against like those twitchy legs as I sleep. And so this was really nice. I actually, after the couple of the big days of walking where we had a bath, I had a nice bath and I put a couple of drops of the Aroma Touch in the bath, which was really nice and soothing after a big day of walking. So that's a non-negotiable. I keep saying non-essential, a non-negotiable for me. Ice Blue, which is, again, similar to the Aroma Touch, but a little bit more pack in the punch if you do have actively sore muscles. doTERRA now make this in a stick format, which you can see if you're watching it on YouTube. It's a bit like a deodorant stick, I suppose, less messy than the rub. And so that was really easy. Definitely rubbed that on my hip and lower back on the big walking days. Now, this is still all my non-negotiables. There's not too many, actually. Correct-X, which is like a little ointment I'm holding up, you can see. This is like for everything skin. So, and it's a little bit goes such a massive way. But we used this. It's got some oils in there that are good. Like if you get a cut or a sting, it's going to help, I want to make sure I'm not saying the wrong thing, but it's just going to help if you have cuts or stings or irritated skin that needs a bit of extra protection. Also really good as a lip balm. We had lots of drier weather over there, so dry lips, so doubles as a lip balm. But yeah, also even a little bit of, if you had too much sun exposure, like a little bit of that would help. It's got things like, it's got frankincense, helichrysum, cedarwood, tea tree, and lavender. So that one actually, I've got one of these in the car, one in my handbag. So I have these all over the place because these are really handy. And then I usually have one calming oil. The reality is that travel can be stressful. There are definitely moments of stress, and I think having at least one roller that is calming, like comes in a little roller. I took neroli with me. That's what it also doubles as a perfume. I just love the smell of neroli. But you could take something like Balance or lavender or whatever you find calming. I just think having a calming essential oil is really helpful to take for those times when you're not feeling calm. And then I take the On Guard hand sanitizer, which is comes in a little spray. Well, obviously it's good for hand sanitizing when you're exposed to lots of germs, but we traveled a lot with this in Vietnam. We were eating at lots of little, street vendors and isolated places, and we used it as a surface cleaner. We used it to spray on chopsticks and cutlery just to make sure they were clean. So it's a good little multi-purpose thing. They're probably my non-negotiables in terms of essential oils. The non-negotiable supplements, there's not too many. In fact, I left a lot of supplements at home. I did take the Lifelong Vitality, which is doTERRA's kind of base level set of supplements. Lee and I take those every day, and I wanted to maintain that while we were away. It's just a good base level buffer, I guess, against all sorts of different things. And I wanted to make sure we maintained that. So we took that. The Terrazyme I've already mentioned as a digestive enzyme. The DigestZen I've already mentioned. And the other one that I do like to travel with is this one, which is called Serenity Restful Complex, because these help wind me down. And so I would take one or two of these at night, along with my melatonin, particularly if you've been out and about, lots of stimulation, this helps wind me down. And if you do have different time zones, you're adjusting to a totally different time zone, then something like this will just help your body calm down at night. I do take them. I've got this little, if you're watching, you can see it's like a little mini pill box. And so I didn't take all the big, I did take some of the big bottles, but I also had like this little pill box with a selection of those various supplements in them that just lived in my backpack that I carried around with me. So, and then I had a really small little container that I put like 2 or 3 DigestZen and 2 or 3 Terrazyme that lived in my handbag. So I always had them with me wherever I was. That's pretty much it. There were some my optional extras, just to throw them in, is past tense, which I like behind my ears when I'm flying. Easy air can be quite good, just for some of that sort of easy breathing. Purify, if you're really into diffusing a lot, can be good for a stinky room or, dropping in shoes. Should have probably taken that one. I don't tend to travel with a diffuser most of the time because I don't tend to diffuse a lot of the time. But if you're a big diffuser, then there's lots of small travel diffusers you can take. There's one or two kind of key essential oils that you might like to diffuse, which is nice in a hotel room that's used lots of chemicals and you just want to clear the air. So that's where having a little travel diffuser can be handy. I just find I've often taken them away and not used them. So I just figure I'm probably not going to worry about taking that by and large. The other thing with essential oils that you do need to know is, like I said before, they will contribute to your liquid volume, whatever it was, like the volume of liquids that you can take. So make sure everything's in smaller bottles. I've never had an essential oil taken away from me at security, but early on, like maybe 5 or 6 years ago, I have had security question me about the essential oils. You do want to make sure you're not taking too many as carry-on luggage. So if I had checked luggage, then what I would do is really put anything I definitely wanted to use on the plane, like I didn't mention peppermint before, but usually I've got peppermint beadlets. I put like 1 or 2 that I keep on the plane with me that I might use during the flight, and the rest would go in checked luggage if I had checked luggage. You just want to make sure you screw the lids up particularly tight so they don't kind of loosen with the different air pressures. And I'll probably put them in a Ziploc bag in your checked luggage, but then you won't have any trouble getting your essential oils. I've never had trouble with carry-on, but be careful about taking too many, I would say. I did hear before I left that of a friend, another doTERRA friend who's had supplements taken away by security at the airport. So I guess if you are traveling with checked luggage, then the more of the supplements and oils you can put in your checked luggage, that's better. But like I said, that's never happened to me, and I've traveled with supplements through carry-on luggage all the time and not personally had a problem. So, but I suppose just being aware that it could happen is worthwhile. I think that's it. I think that's all my tips. So I hope if you've got a trip coming, up soon, or you're starting to dream about holidays, then I hope some of these little tips and experiences of mine have been helpful. You can store away. Hopefully in the discussion in the Let's Talk Thyroid Facebook community, we can have a great conversation about travel, perhaps Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Let's Talk Thyroid. If you have enjoyed the content, or perhaps you're thinking, oh, my mum needs to hear this, or my sister or my bestie, I would love it if you would share this episode with them. That really just helps spread the positive and practical message of Let's Talk Thyroid and helps that broader thyroid community, our friends and family, to live well with their thyroid health. So you can just, share the episode. If you subscribe on whatever platform you're listening to this podcast, it's free. It's really helpful because then you'll be notified every time a new podcast comes out, and it just makes it much easier to find. There's usually a little subscribe button or a bell or follow often is the terminology. So if you wouldn't mind doing that, that would be helpful. Of course, if you want to leave a review, even better, just a sentence or two about how the podcast has helped you. You can definitely connect with me via letstalkthyroid.com. That's where you'll find access to my book, my coaching, my freebies, and really everything that I offer in terms of thyroid support.